Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming, 'cause you can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearold, and welcome to Nancy's Psychic View on the high road to humanity. And all the way from Australia today, we have DouglasCharles Hodgson back on the high road. And welcome back, Douglas.
Thank you very much, Nancy. It's great to be back, and I'm looking forward to sharing my research findings with you and your audience today.
Yeah, and let me just kind of give a really quick synopsis here. And I don't even know if I'll do it justice, but what Douglas has done is put together the near-death experience information. And this has come from, and I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. It's from the International Association for Near-Death Studies, Inc. Is that correct? And
Yes, it is, Nancy.
okay, so he's compiled all the information that all these different people have had when they've had near-death experiences, and he's broken it down. And we're going to talk about what happens when we die. And does God exist? What these people say. Does our soul consciousness survive death? Do we have a unique purpose on earth, each of us? Are we judged? So we're going to talk about karma. We're going to talk about negative and positive energy. This is going to be a fabulous show. And I really, really, really liked your book. You can see on my little markers.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. I couldn't put this one down. It's really short to the point, but so much cool information. Before we get into it today, you guys, I wanted to let you know I will be in LA. I will be talking about angel communication, how to connect to the divine, and how to connect to your guardian angel. And that's going to be in February 2024 at the LAX Conscious Life Expo. It will be Saturday evening when I'll be teaching a 90-minute workshop. You can catch me there. Then I will be in Florida in March 16th and 17th. It will be at the New Life Expo, doing the same thing, talking about God, talking about the angels, how to connect to our guardian angels. And you talk about the guardian angels in your book, and I was really pleased to see that. So we're going to cover that today. So that's what's going on with me, you guys. Make sure that you, follow what's happening with the events. Before we get into it, I want to just mention, this has come across the news today. There are 25-foot waves, widespread rain, West Coast braces for more storms. This is in California. I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but millions of people in coastal areas of California and Oregon were under high surf warnings overnight. Rain and high winds are in the forecast. So in Southern California, the forecasters are predicting waves up to 25 feet and say that the threat of significant coastal flooding would last into Saturday night. This is like for San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara counties, northwest of Los Angeles. This is really crazy. And I saw some of the footage. You guys can check it out. This is, to me, it looks really close to like tsunami. It's that bad. I mean, I'm watching people run from the beach. So some coastal areas of California, it goes on to talk about they had gust of winds to 39 to 54 miles per hour. So you guys want to keep an eye on what's happening in California. All right, here we go. Let's talk about this, Douglas. Let's get into it. So I guess the first thing I want to know is, how did you come up with this, and why did you, the whole idea of putting it together, if you don't mind?
Right. Well, I completed my first book, Transcendental Spirituality, Wisdom, and Virtue. You interviewed me on that book last July, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I put that aside and I went back some 30 years, 1990, I think it
Okay.
was.
Okay.
I read Dr. Raymond Moody's book called Life After Life, the seminal work on the near-death experience. And being a busy university academic, I had very little time for leisure or hobby reading. But when I went into semi-retirement in 2017, a whole new world opened up to me. I could go back and read and pursue the topics and ideas that I really wanted to do for some time.
Right.
And at that time, I also read another book by Dr. Eben Alexander called Proof of Heaven, a
Mhm.
neurosurgeon's journey into the
Yeah.
afterlife.
Yeah.
And both books are utterly fascinating, and they rekindle within me a desire to learn more and more about the so-called near-death experience.
Mhm.
So I hit the internet and I looked at the website of the International Association for Near-Death Studies, and they have a wonderful archives, literally hundreds and hundreds of written accounts of what people who have undergone a near-death experience reported observing, what they were told, imparted messages imparted to them by beings of light.
Mhm.
So I got stuck into reading these different accounts. And
Right.
being a university academic, I can't help myself. I take copious notes. And the greater number of accounts that I read, the more I was struck by the common messaging.
Right.
People were saying essentially the same things,
Mhm.
but in slightly different and nuanced ways.
Mhm.
So I started to collate the information into what may be potential chapter headings for a new book. I'm always looking for ideas for a new book.
Yeah.
And at one point, I began reading NDE accounts where the beings of light told the soul consciousness, if I can refer to it as the soul consciousness,
Sure.
you must return to your earthly life because your mission is not yet finished. You
Mhm.
have more to do. And one of the things you have to do is to spread to humanity the messages that you have been given. So when I read that, and several NDEers said the same thing, I thought, this is a new book.
Yeah.
I must capture the essence
Yeah.
of the revelations which were imparted,
Yeah.
and I've collected them. Over 500 accounts. I've
No,
collected them in this book.
I know. It's
They speak to so many different existential and metaphysical questions that we cannot answer
Mm,
based on an objective study of material reality.
right.
Does God exist? Does heaven exist?
Right.
Is our consciousness transcendental? What is the purpose and meaning of life? Do we each have a mission? Etc., etc. And
Mhm.
all of the answers to those questions are
I
in
know
my
they're
book.
in here. They're all in here. Now I'm picked out. I hope you don't mind. I don't want to give your whole book away, but I did pick out a few different subjects throughout, and I was going to, if it's okay with you, read some of the NDEs. Is that okay?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Well, the first one that I want to mention, of course, is God, the source. And I'll just read a couple of these that I thought were really profound. And I underlined some. Somebody said, God is the energy of love that binds everything together and underpins all the laws of physics. Another person said, the light of God is peace, bliss, comfort, wisdom, joy, compassion, and authority. Somebody else said, the light is the manifestation of God's presence when he breathes. Somebody said, pray to the God of your heart rather than the one you've been taught by others. God does not condemn or punish, but loves his creatures as they are and helps them to become better versions of themselves. I mean, we've been taught incorrectly. Somebody else said everything is always as it's supposed to be. Everything will always be all right. I like that one. God told me that everything is all right and unfolding as it should. Another person said, connect to all that is. Somebody else said, connect with source energy. I say that all the time on my show. I don't know if you watch my show, but I'm like, dude, connect, connect, connect. There is no single right way to worship God. This is amazing. And I just want you guys to know, and I'm not going to give away everything. There's 3 or 4 pages just on God on the very first. Now, out of all of those, I guess I'm going to ask you on each of these, what was really, I mean, was there one that stood out for you on the God one?
Well, there was one NDEer, Nancy, who said that God is love,
Yeah.
and she expressed it as an acronym. L meaning love, O for oneness, V for vibrations, and E for energy.
Nice.
I think that's pretty well says it all.
Right.
That God exists in every particle in the universe.
Right.
It binds and connects everything together.
Right.
God is light, love, and energy, connecting everyone and everything. And love is the most powerful energy in the universe.
Yes, absolutely. Right on. Absolutely. You got that. I agree with you. Well, let's talk about a glimpse of heaven. So many, you say, and I wrote down a lot of notes on this, you guys, many authors of near-death accounts note the um, radiantly beautiful, unearthly colors of heaven, which appear to be alive and pulsating. And some of the ND ears, there's so many, you guys, but I'll just tell you some that I picked out. I felt at home before the light. A lot of these people felt like they were at home. This person said, heaven is our real home. And
Nancy,
yeah.
there's an old Taoist proverb, if I may quote it,
Oh,
that
yeah.
says it very well. It captures the essence of the near-death experience, but it goes like this. Life is a venturing forth to learn. Death is a returning home.
Yeah.
And many, many of the NDEers describe heaven as our real home,
Yeah.
that our earthly existence is temporary. We are here to learn, to love, and to acquire divine knowledge.
Right.
But when we leave our physical bodies, we are returning home. The heavenly umbilical cord is severed, as one of the NDEers said,
Yeah.
and our soul returns to God.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful experience. And somebody said here, there is just not one heaven, there are many levels of heaven. And I've heard that many times, and it was nice to read that in here, that there are different levels. And you guys, again, there are pages within each category that people, what they have felt, what they have seen, they've had a near-death experience. Somebody said the beautiful living and uplifting heavenly light has its own identity. Heavenly light is filled with love and acceptance. I mean, it's really cool that you went through and did all of this. I just think it's amazing because sometimes even myself, as connected as I am, it just gave me that little extra, boost of, yeah, absolutely. We all need that confirmation. You know what I'm saying? So, let me go on to the next one. Higher spiritual realms. I thought this was interesting. I wrote down, on earth, we tend to preoccupy ourselves with physical and material self-gratification and seldom ponder the mysteries of the spiritual realms. So what did you kind of find out about the spiritual realms from your research?
Well, in the higher spiritual realms, what we consider, or many of us consider important on earth,
Mm-hmm.
such as the acquisition of power, fame, material wealth,
Right.
these things mean nothing in the higher spiritual realms. We can only take with us when we depart from our physical body the love and caring we have manifested towards others,
Mm-hmm.
and that is ours to keep for an eternity. So it is necessary to be in the world, but not necessarily of the
Of the
world.
world. Right. Exactly.
We have to detach from the usual attachments and distractions and amusements and focus on the divine. And
Right.
that's what you attempt to do in your program. And
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
constant message of the NDEers.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Well, reading this, I mean, it just brought everything back to me, to connect, connect, connect. And I love you talk about, I'll kind of skip around a little bit, how we pick our family, our soul agreements. So let's talk about that a little bit because each of us has a role to play, you say, in the divine plan, and each of us comes to earth for a reason. And we pick our parents, and then a lot of people think, well, why in the world would I have picked these people? But we did it to learn a certain thing. And in my mind, I really feel that we're all here to learn, to go back to God. We're all searching for the love, but the love is within us. The love is, we're all looking on the outside. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? We're looking for another person, but it's not. And it's not how we look. It's on the inside, and it's a connection with God. And we have to go through all this stuff. This is what I think, to get to connect back. That's what we're doing. What do you think?
God is immanent. God is within us.
Yeah.
And as you say, our mission on earth is to acquire knowledge of the divine,
Mm-hmm.
to grow towards communion with the light, with
Mhm.
God, the source.
Mhm.
We are here for a purpose. Each of us has a unique and tailored mission.
Right.
We have to spend our entire lives trying to remember what that mission is. And you can only discover that mission by attuning to positive energy
Yes.
and tuning into divine knowledge.
Yes.
And that's what God expects of us. We are here on earth to learn what unconditional love is,
Yes.
because we will be asked on the other side, what did you ever do that was not actuated by a personal motive or the prospect of personal gain? What
Mm-hmm.
did you do that was selfless rather than selfish?
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, Nancy, we have to consider, why were we born in the place we were?
Yeah.
Why did we were born into the family we have? Why do we encounter trials and tribulations and challenges in our life? When these happen, the natural human tendency is to grizzle a little bit. Well, why me? But the NDEers consistently tell us that these are opportunities for our soul consciousness to learn, to evolve. We have to discern the particular reasons why we are facing these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It could be relationship issues.
Yeah. Because if
Are
everything was
we?
perfect, we wouldn't learn anything, would we?
No, it's a slow, grinding process, but we'll eventually all get there. That's the good news.
That's the good news. Well, I like what you say, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm like, dude, we're all trying. And it does take a lifetime. I will tell you this. It's taken me my whole life and go through so much. I can only speak for myself and my own experiences to share with people, but and that's what you've done with these people and their near-death experiences. But it's like, once you finally get there and you're like, oh, we're just connecting with God, and you look at everything differently. Everything changes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's just really crazy. I don't know. There's so much more I want to talk about. You talk about the soul agreements, the roles that we play, but again, it's to help us, to catapult us, to push us. I think it's to push. We need that little nudge, to get us. You think, why did that person come into my life? Well, they're there to nudge us. I also want to talk about, I don't know if I can find it really quick, about the angels. And I don't know, I gotta look to see I have to look and see what page it's on. Oh, here we go. I turned right to it. The beings of light. And the reason I'm so hip on this is because I just finished writing a book on our guardian angels, and I'm going out to teach.
Congratulations.
Yes, well, it hasn't been
Forward to
published
reading it.
yet, but we'll hope for the best.
Okay.
Okay, but it will be, and it'll get out there. And this is something that you write about, and I want to share with the audience. You write on beings of light, and I'm going to read a little bit of this. Somebody said, our guardian angel has been with us from the dawn of time and will be with us for eternity. And my guardian angel stands right here. And if some people can see, other people can't, but you all have a guardian angel. Everybody's got one. Every one of us has a guardian angel. This is the next, I just said that, and this is what it says. And spirit guide to assist our spiritual evolution throughout eternity. From the indescribable radiant light, a voice spoke to me. The voice was beautiful, calm, soft, and loving. Here's another one. It says, angels and spirit guides exist in the higher realms to watch over, protect, and support us on our earthly journeys. We are able to connect with them with the proper intention and exercise of our free will. And, I just want to say, I just think it's so important. We all have this friend that has our back, and we need to connect. Do you connect with yours?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, isn't it cool?
We have to have the proper intention and free will. Our angels will not intervene to assist us unless we ask,
That's right.
and that is what they are there for.
Right.
And I've assigned many tasks to my guardian angel,
Mhm.
and yes,
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. And I was so glad that you talked about it in the book. And you also talk about people understanding the universe and all the knowledge. Do you want to address that a little bit? You see many of those who have undergone an NDE report that once outside the body, they receive instantaneous knowledge and awareness.
yes, this is quite fascinating, Nancy. When our soul consciousness leaves the body, as one NDEer said, it's your energy remains the same, your perspective changes. It's
Mhm.
like going from one room in your house to another.
Yeah.
You remain the same, but your perspective changes. And
Mhm.
that's so true. And when you're in the world of spirit, you have expanded consciousness. Your soul is infinite, eternal, and your awareness is elevated. Your mind, your thinking processes, they speed up exponentially. As one NDEer said, I tapped into the universal data structure or the universal consciousness. I had increasing levels of omniscience or all-knowingness.
Mhm.
And emotions and feelings are felt much more deeply and in a richer fashion in the spirit world. In the spirit world, it's like quasi-telepathic communication.
Right.
On Earth, we have written and oral communication. It's
Mhm.
far different in the world of spirit.
Mhm.
It's communication between soul consciousnesses at the deepest foundational level. So it's not simply an exchange of statements, it's an exchange of ideas,
Energy.
concepts, energy,
Yeah.
feelings and emotions, and
Mhm.
knowledge. And it's instantaneous, and nothing is lost in translation.
Right.
Unlike planet Earth,
Yeah.
there's no possibility of misinterpretation or misconception.
That's the truth.
Everything is crystal clear.
I'm so glad you said that.
So we have a lot to look forward to. And when we re-enter the spirit world, when we're rebirthed into the spirit world,
Mhm.
um, many things will come to you which you've temporarily forgotten on planet Earth. You've always known these things, but when you are born, somehow it's deleted from your consciousness. But when you re-enter the spirit world, according to the NDEers, it all comes flooding back.
Yeah, there's a couple here I want to read from this portion. It says humanity is only just beginning to understand creation. I thought that was pretty profound. As a result of my near-death experience, faith was suspended by knowingness and certainty.
Yes,
A
this
lot
is
of
another common theme, Nancy. Um, People who have had the near-death experience, they vary in terms of the demographic. Some of them are quite religious, others are agnostics, others are atheists.
Mhm.
But even the atheists say that after my near-death experience, I don't have faith. I know, I have
Yeah,
certainty. It's been
yeah,
proven.
yeah.
So that's what they say. And those who are religious say that my belief or faith has now been superseded by proof, by certainty and knowledge. And
Mhm.
that's a wonderful message for humanity.
I
We
love
live
it.
in exciting times. We are on the cusp,
I
on the
know.
threshold
I
of a
know.
brilliant new era in humanity
Mhm.
in which knowledge, a more profound knowledge of the world of spirit, is opening up. And
Yes.
that's no small part to the experiences of the NDEers and what they have come back and told humanity.
Yeah, and let me just say, Douglas, this is needed at this time. People need confirmation. People need hope, and you're right. That's why I do the show. People need to know. I know, you know, but not everybody knows, and not everybody's, believes. And if, and I'm not here to make everybody think like I do, but I want to bring the information forth, just like you brought it forth here.
Absolutely.
Make up your own mind. You know what I mean?
We all have free will.
Yeah,
We
cool. And
can
let's talk
exercise
about
it. We
that.
can believe or we can choose not to believe.
Right.
But whatever choices we make at the proverbial fork in the road,
Yeah.
our soul will remain accountable at the soul level for those choices.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. We are accountable for everything we do down here. And you talk about that in this book too, because, and I'm looking for my notes on it, but we'll just talk about it. Everything we do, everything we say, every action we take. And I wish I would have known this when I was younger, because everything we do, everything that comes out of our mouth, is has an impact, like a way larger impact than what we believe. And some of the NDEs talk about that in here.
Indeed, Nancy. There's an old adage, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. It's a bit scary and daunting, but many of the NDErs refer to recording angels. And these recording angels are with us from the moment of birth
Right,
until we depart from this realm.
right,
And they record every thought, every word, every deed, and every omission, every act we could have taken but chose not to.
right.
And this goes all into a record. And this is played back to us when we have the so-called life review. So, as you say, we have to be careful
Mm,
when we exercise our free will, and this came through very strongly in the NDErs referring to the near-death experience. But one of the lessons they learn as part of that is never underestimate how impactful your words and deeds are on others.
mhm,
And they often use the metaphor of dropping a pebble into the middle of a still pond of water. And the ripples are the effects or consequences of our actions, our inactions, what we say to others.
mhm.
And we have to bear this in mind because if we manifest love to other people,
Yeah,
they feel good about themselves, and they in turn will manifest love to others.
right,
And we get to see that on our life review. But if we are hurtful to others, then they in turn will pass on that hurt to other people. And we get to see that in our life review, how
right,
our actions not only hurt the immediate people we are in
right,
contact with,
right,
it's a perpetual cycle leading to eternity.
right.
So we have to be very careful.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you completely. And, I want to bring up really quick free will. You talk about free will. And I wanted to read this because I thought it was pretty profound. You say, why are we each granted free will? Perhaps we can borrow from a domestic or family analogy. As loving and caring parents who want the best for their children, we allow them increasing autonomy and independence to make their own decisions as they mature and their decision-making capacity evolves. And that's exactly what God does with us. He gives us free will so that we can make our own choices. And you write in here and they talk about this, how God doesn't want us to like, oh, you have to love me. He wants us to come about that all by ourselves. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yes, God does not force anything on us. God
Mm-mm.
is a God of unconditional love. He,
Right.
of course, wants the best for us, but He loves us so much, so dearly, that He allows us to make our own choices. Of
Mhm,
course, He wants us to grow towards communion with the light, and
mhm.
we all eventually will. Uh,
Right.
some some are more elevated than others and take different paths. But the beauty of life is that God, through free will, allows us to make our own earthly experiences. And it, of course, would not be sincere or authentic if He forced us to love Him. That wouldn't be true love, would it? It wouldn't be
Yeah,
pure.
right. And I think that's where organized religion, let me just stick that in there real quick, has really turned people off because people thought things were, man has kind of disrupted how things really are and made people think, we have to do this and we have to do that. And we're not, we're free. We can do whatever we want. It's up to us.
But of course, God wants us to embrace positive energy.
Yeah.
And I think at this particular time in human history, it's essential more than ever that
Yeah.
we embrace positive energy and turn our backs on the dark energy,
Yeah.
because there's so much dark energy out there.
The light's getting brighter and brighter. Ha ha. I think
But
I just feel like it is. I just feel like it is. I did a message from Archangel Gabriel that I put out to humanity the other day. And he said, the wars will cease and the light is peeking through and people are waking up. They're starting to see the truth about things. People are not stupid, I think humanity is waking up. And one of the things you talk about is loving yourself. And that's something that, a lot of people have talked about on the show for the last few years. And you say, as soon as we believe in our own worth, our soul will be set free.
yes.
Wow.
Nancy, if we don't love and respect ourselves, it will be more difficult for us to
Mhm.
respect and love other people. And
Mhm.
if we don't forgive ourselves, if we're always beating ourselves up, condemning ourselves for our past actions, it will be more difficult for the positive light, the light and energy of God to enter us. So the chapter deals with loving yourself, not in a narcissistic way,
Right.
but in a gentle way. Be gentle with yourself. Everything is turning out as it should. There are no coincidences in the universe.
I know. I like that
There's
part
a
too.
reason behind everything.
Yeah. And as you get older, you start to see it, You do. You can look back and think, oh, yeah, I get that. Now I know why that happened.
Mm.
I want to talk about identity. Page 49 in your book. While we are known in the earthly plane by our birth name, we have a different name in the spiritual realm. And, I thought that was really interesting. In the higher realms of dimension, let's see. Okay, let me see. In the higher realms of dimensions, we have no earthly name, but are recognized by our vibration or light, our highest consciousness. Doesn't that say a lot?
Well, it certainly does, Nancy. When we leave this earthly realm, we of
Nobody
course
cares
leave
what
our
I look like,
physical
huh?
body. But we shed our earthly identity.
I know.
We leave behind Nancy Yerout or DouglasCharles Hodgson. All of the things that we achieved in our lives, our career, ambition, that poof,
I
we leave
know.
that
Gone.
behind.
Yeah.
And we enter the world of spirit,
Yeah.
and we are not identified by our earthly name. We assume a humanoid form in the world of spirit.
Yeah.
We still look like we did on planet Earth, but our solar consciousness, according to one NDE, it's recognized by the color and the vibrational rate.
Mhm.
So the more elevated the consciousness, the more aware the consciousness, the deeper and richer the color, and the faster the vibrational rate. That's according to one of the NDEs.
That
So
makes
that's quite
sense.
fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I think, and I want to know if your research answered this question. I feel like, and I think we talked about it, there are different levels in heaven. And I think as you are reincarnated and learn more, then you go up. Of course, you can also go down. I think it works both ways. What do you think?
Yes, heaven forbid if we go backwards.
But we could go backwards. We could. I mean, it's true.
Depending on which proverbial fork in the road we take, Nancy, we might well go backwards. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
I hear you, but that's true. There's different levels from what I understand. And the levels have to do with your state of consciousness, how high you've raised your consciousness, how many
Yeah.
things you've been through and understood is what I get.
It's very interesting, Nancy. I mentioned Dr. Eben Alexander's book, Proof of Heaven.
Right?
Dr. Alexander refers to the gateway to heaven,
Mhm.
and this is what I think you're referring to. And it's also interesting to note, and this will be the subject of the next book I'm writing,
Okay.
but several religions, including Jainism from India and Islam from the Middle East, they refer to the concept of multiple heavens
Mhm,
or ascending heavens. In Islam, there are heavens built on top of heavens.
mhm,
So it's almost like a hierarchy of heavens.
mhm.
And Jainism uses the term ascending heavens. So it's almost like you sort of graduate from one level of heaven to the next one, to the next one, and so forth.
Mhm.
And I found that fascinating. And at least one of the NDEers refer to the fact that there's not just one heaven, there are many or multiple heavens.
Yeah, and I had always thought that, and then I read it in your book too that they had said that, and I thought, well, that's probably true. Something else that I thought was super interesting. You talk about karma. You do a chapter on karma, and this just blew my mind. Universal laws of attraction and cause and effect. Now, these laws operate in the higher realms as well as the earthly plane. I didn't know that. I all thought, okay, just karma works down here. But from what the NDEers say, it works up there too.
Now that is a very interesting point that you raise, because I do recall that observation of the NDEer, but I
Hmm.
have to be honest with you, Nancy, although I'm fairly well versed in the law of causation on planet Earth, I've written
Yeah.
several legal treatises about it.
Okay.
I can't explain how it operates in the higher
Yeah,
realms.
I couldn't either.
But
And
the
that's why I was
NDEer
like,
said that it works slightly differently, and I thought to myself, I
mhm,
wish they could have elaborated on that, but they didn't.
right.
It's apparent that, the old adage, we reap what we sow, also works in the higher spiritual realms, but not as we're used to on earth. So that was
Right.
food for thought.
Well, it
Um,
is. And what else really hit me, and I'll just tell you, I just finished writing about the angelic realm and I wrote about spiritual law, and reaping what you sow is one of the spiritual laws that I write about. In order to connect with God and to connect with your angels, you have to know how the universe works. And one of these is that you reap what you sow, and people don't realize that. We're back to the same thing. Everything you do has, repercussions. So if you do good, then you get good. And if you don't do good, then you, you know,
and that
it's all
brings in the law of
connected.
attraction.
Yeah.
The positive understands and attracts positive. Negative understands and attracts negative energy.
But there is no negative energy in heaven from what your NDEs say.
No, no, actually, I'd like to come back to that point, Nancy. It's a very good
Okay.
one,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Um, in terms of heaven and how do we describe it, the NDEers broke it down into three basic ways. Number one, heaven is an emotional experience. You feel feelings of euphoria,
Mhm.
bliss, utter peace and contentment, joy, acceptance, understanding. Um, Heaven can be conceived from a spiritual frame of reference, where negative energy, anything not of the light, is forbidden to enter.
Right.
So anger, hatred, aggression, lying,
All right. Well,
stealing,
let me
fear,
stop you. Let
do
me
not
stop you.
enter.
So wait a minute. So what if I die angry? I'm not going to, but I'm I'm giving you an example because there's people that die really pissed off. Excuse my French. What happens to those people?
If they die consumed with negative energy,
Yes, that's what is that when they get put? I mean, I don't think there's a hell, but I think maybe there's a lower part of heaven. What do you think?
well, my understanding is that they undergo a life review,
Right?
and it is conducted either by God or
Right.
by beings of light or
Correct.
messengers of God who have been assigned that task.
The angels, yes.
And the life review is designed to allow the soul consciousness to instantaneously review their entire life,
Right.
especially the most significant moments.
Okay.
And at certain points, the being of light will pause and will ask the soul consciousness to reflect on that particular incident and what they may have learned from it. So I remember one particular NDE experience where the soul consciousness at the age of 5 was very cruel and mean to his 6-year-old sister and called her all sorts of nasty names. And the little boy, his soul consciousness could see this played back to him.
Right.
And after a little while, he became his sister. It's an exercise in empathy personified. He was his sister in the life review, and
Mhm.
he felt the shame and the hurt and pain that he had caused his sister.
Mhm.
So all of that negative energy will be reviewed, and we will be held accountable for it. But God does not judge
Judge
or
us.
condemn.
Right.
We are our harshest critic.
Right. I
We
want to
undergo that.
Well, I want to expand upon what you're saying. I feel intuitively that when we do release that, we have the opportunity. I think they give us the opportunity to release that in order to go where we need to go because we can't go there, like you said, with the negative energy. So when we do the life review, maybe that gives us the opportunity to release it, like you were speaking of, like become the other person, release it, and then be able to move forward. What do you think?
Nancy,
Yeah.
another end of year said the life review is a purging or cleansing of the soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I
So
felt that. Yeah.
once we've had that, we're
Then
clean and pure again,
we can go.
and we are assigned,
Yeah.
where we are to go.
Well, and I think people want to know this, don't you? Because I mean, I'm sure people have had family members that have died angry. I know somebody who has, and you just wonder, my God, are they just, and I know we have guardian angels that help people, but a lot of people, it takes them a while to, I think, acclimate and understand all this stuff. So out of all of this, I mean, you did so much research and you went through all of this. What was the most surprising thing to you out of all the NDEs, out of all the information? What really shocked you?
Well, I really wasn't shocked, Nancy, because I'm a
You kind of
spiritual
knew.
person. And most of what I read entirely resonated with
Yeah.
my deepest soul consciousness.
Yeah.
But what impressed me was that we waste so much time on planet Earth having fear.
True.
Some of us fear life, some of us fear death. But the consistent, unanimous message of the end of years was we must not fear the death of our physical body,
Mhm.
because our soul or our consciousness is eternal and infinite, and a beautiful afterlife awaits us. And the message of the end of years is so simple, although as humans, we are prone to overcomplicate everything we read and hear.
Right.
But
I
the
agree.
message is so simple: to love.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do, is to love during our time on earth, and everything will take care of itself.
Yeah.
So we must give more to the world than we receive from it. We must try to make a difference by serving God and loving and caring for others. Because when we leave this realm, that's all we can take with us, is the
Mhm.
love we've manifested to others.
Right. We take the love in our heart with us that we've received here on earth.
Exactly.
We take that
That
with.
is ours to keep for eternity.
Mhm. I like how you talk about, and it reminds me of the Native Americans. They worked with, the earth and they only took what they needed. They didn't take too much. And that's something that humanity has not learned, to honor, to give back, and you do talk about that a little bit in here. You talk about nature because God is in everything. He's in nature. And I thought that was interesting, and it reminded me of the Native Americans and how boy, if we could just go back to basics. We really need to get back to basics, Douglas. What do you think?
Well, we do, Nancy. I have a deep and abiding respect for indigenous populations of the world.
Yes,
They've known this stuff for millennia, and we're catching
absolutely.
up. We're catching up. But as you say, God is in nature. God is nature. As one NDE said, we must study nature carefully, learn from it, become one with it, and nature will open up to us. Another universal law, you've mentioned universal laws, is that uh, planet Earth is a living organism.
Right.
Many people don't realize it, but it's a living organism.
Mhm,
It provides humanity with nurture and sustenance. And
mhm.
that's why we must take much better care of
Yeah,
planet Earth. We should only take from what nature offers us to satisfy our basic needs and what can sustainably be produced. And if we don't, there will be severe consequences. Again, the law of cause and effect.
right. Exactly. Wow.
So
Douglas,
we
I
must,
love
many of us at this time, we're getting back to nature. We're tuning in, we're zoning into nature, and that's good. And I
mm,
want that trend to continue. It has
mhm.
to.
It has to. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, just going outside changes everything. Taking a walk. I moved to the trees. I needed to be by the trees. I like the water. Certain people, you just feel better when you're outside and you're with nature. And there are nature spirits, we didn't get into talking about it and you didn't really talk about that, but there are nature spirits that are out there that work with God and, work with the angelic realm and work with people who actually believe. So, Douglas, what's next?
What's next?
What's next? What's your next book?
Well, I'm publishing a book next August, and it
Oh,
closes the loop. It's meant to be a trilogy.
okay.
So my first book was Transcendental Spirituality, Wisdom, and Virtue,
Right.
identifying 36 divine virtues that will help us live a better and more elevated life on earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's my present book, Spiritual Revelations from Beyond the Veil, which
Yes.
examines spirituality from a relatively non-religious perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But my next, third, and final book is The Near-Death Experience and Sacred Scripture, the Parallel Messaging. So I compare the Holy Scriptures of 12 of the mainstream religions,
Okay.
from Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, Confucianism, Taoism, with the Abrahamic religions, Zoroastrianism, Baha'i, and I compare the basic or fundamental tenets of those mainstream religions with the NDE messaging and the revelations that the NDEers have brought back with them from the veil.
Right.
And I found it entirely striking and uncanny, the synchronicity of the
Wow.
messaging.
Oh my gosh.
And this draws everything together. And I'm so excited.
I
And it
bet.
will be released in August in America.
Oh, you'll have to come see. You'll have to come back and see me for sure. Oh my God.
It'll
Well,
be my pleasure. Enjoy.
I'm so glad that you came to visit. And when did this book come out?
January 1st in the USA. So
Okay.
in a
So
couple
it's not
days.
out yet. Okay. Can people
No.
pre-order like on Amazon and stuff? Can they
Well, they
order?
can.
Okay.
Amazon USA,
Okay.
Kindle, most of the online booksellers, local bricks and mortar bookshops should have it, Walmart, etc.
Okay, and the name is Spiritual Revelations from Beyond the Veil. It's by DouglasCharles Hodgson. I always kind of botch his name here. I don't know why, but it's Hodgson. Difficult for
Doesn't
me.
matter, Nancy, when we go into the world of spirit, I'll leave that name behind.
It's such a pleasure. I just want to wish you a happy new year. I'm so glad you came on. It's the
Same
end of
to
the
you, Nancy.
year
We've only scratched the surface. There's much more,
to
much more,
come.
much deeper stuff in there. So
Okay.
hopefully, your audience will enjoy reading it and get something out of it.
I hope so. I think so. This is a fabulous book, you guys. All right. Thanks for joining us today. You guys, we're going to get out of here. I wish everybody a fabulous rest of their holiday season and a very happy 2024. Happy New Year, everybody. And God bless.
Same to you, Nancy.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.